to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Fear not, for you are found. You are home, and there is no going back. No one leaves this place. But what is this place? The answer is Sakaar. Surrounded by cosmic gateways, Sakaar lives on the edge of the known and unknown. It is the collection point for all lost and unloved things. Like you. But here on Sakaar, you are significant. You are valuable. Here, you are loved. And no one loves you more than the Grand Master. He is the original, the first lost and the first found, the creator of Sakaar and father of the Contest of Champions. Where once you were nothing, now you are something. You are the property of the Grand Master. Congratulations! You will meet the Grand Master in 5 seconds. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. You are now meeting the Grand Master.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, the guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers One podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers One podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. And now, here's Chris Cologne and
Jennifer Belanga.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
And you got Jennifer here.
And yeah, Jen is like
Oscar's favorite.
You're the you're the glue. You're the glue. Every time the show kind of goes into transition,
we are going back to the old school.
You're the mortar. You're the podcast.
I'm kind of like not old school, but because Kristen would actually.
Well, Kristen be old school.
Old school.
But you were there
I'm
towards
like
the end. You were
school.
towards the end of Kristen's run.
Yes.
And with that, it's gonna be May.
I know I've been harassing you with that one. Sorry.
The first thing I said was like, it's almost May. No one. Well, actually, you didn't. You weren't. I mean, you posted a Justin Timberlake GIF,
yeah.
but then like all these other people started putting like May, and I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch.
I did the adult one. The hello. It's
oh,
May.
hello. Yeah, it's May.
So. Yeah.
And so what a crazy couple of weeks it's been since the last podcast.
Why don't you explain what's been going on with you first?
Well, I mean, I put out the last episode and it was sort of like a shortened episode, no commercials, just to sort of like I wanted to take what was left of the audio that me and Austin had because like there was a day I went to the library and then the day for Infinity War I went into work early. And left early specifically so I can go to see Infinity, which is weird because I got fired the next day. So I'm wondering. And anyone who's been listening to the podcast knows it was a long time coming. I knew I was going to be getting fired sometime. I knew it was going to be sometime soon. It was coincidentally. I mean, and don't be wrong.
Were you fired or were you let go? Because I mean, like Paul told me that I think he said that he knows other people who got let go or something like that, or that they're letting go people, or that you weren't the only one to get.
Oh, absolutely. Oh no, that was one of the things about the job was that they were in and I don't want to say the name of the place because since Austin still works there, I don't want to just tear into them. But they were in the middle of a pivot, and we'd have these company-wide meetings, or everyone meets in the room or whatever, and it's sort of like. They called it the pivot. They were letting people go like crazy. There was a woman there with 18 years on the job. They let go. A guy from HR. They let go. With the housekeeping guy. They let go. Wow. So them letting me go. Now I was the last person that was hired. There were people hired after me from the temp agency, but one of them got hired after me, which was a little upsetting. But that being said. She knew the manager from one of his former where she used to work. She knew the manager.
Okay.
And the people that they were hiring after me also knew that manager. He was hiring people from his old job.
Right.
She just so happened to come in from the temp agency. She got hired before me, even though she was a temp after me. The other temp after me just quit out of frustration. So I was the last person there with a temp badge like forever. Like, you know, like everyone in that particular place, everyone had a blue badge. I had a green badge. And like, you know, like I was like, you know, I'm the last of the Mohicans walking around in there. And then like even at the end of the day, there's this big thing where you have to clock in your hour. It's like, I mean, you clock in when you clock in, but you also have to keep track of your hours. And it has everybody's name. And then like me, it would have my name, the temp agency's like call letters, and then my last name. And so like I stuck out like a sore thumb on the list. And I'm surprised that I lasted that long. And I'm like, I'm wondering, did they use like me leaving for Infinity War to be like the straw that broke the camel's back, or was it just a crazy coincidence? And don't get me wrong, I'm glad I got fired after Infinity War, because I'm still suffering from depression from fucking Infinity War.
You almost a lot of people. There is a lot of people that are seriously impacted by the ending of that movie.
It was, and I guess, I mean, just straight up, this is going to be. I'm going to have spoiler talk because
you know, I just can't do it without.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've seen enough YouTube videos and I've heard enough podcasts where we're now like in spoiler territory.
Well, it's already been a whole week, so like all the devoted fans that like would not want the spoilers, you would think would have seen it by now.
Yeah.
Plus, also, I mean, like, what is this actually? Because it's been over a week at this point.
Yeah, well, I'll be putting this out in a day or two, so
yeah,
you know,
so,
probably
I mean,
a day to
it's
edit
a
it.
week and a half.
Yeah,
I would say respectable.
You've had plenty of time, and if you haven't, just
well, are you
pause
talking about it now? Because if you're talking about it now, then just say fast forward about the next 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, what I'll probably do is I think when we get done, if nothing else pops into my head, I'll probably put in the show notes for people like, you know, if you want to hit spoilers, you know, jump to the
this point.
the 40-minute mark or whatever the case may be. And so what happened was that day. Usually I was recording with Austin in our car rides to work and back, and he's a busy person, and I don't know what his future is going to be with the podcast, only because he's such a busy guy that quite frankly that was the only time we could record was on our way to and from work, because you know his girlfriend has a son that he takes care of, and he works, and he kind of has an unofficial second job, so he's busy, and so you know, I mean, of course I'd like for him to, you know, at least make a guest appearance for Christ's sakes,
right.
But I don't know what the future of what that was. But that day at work, because I know I wanted to go see Infinity War, and I said, fuck it, like that Tuesday, the Tuesday of the week it came out, I said, all right, and I ordered tickets to the Tinseltown here in Rochester. The only IMAX in Rochester, to the best of my ability I'm aware of, is the IMAX Tinseltown 7:00 showing, the absolute first showing. And when I went to buy tickets, that's one of those predetermined seat theaters, like so it was like one seat by itself and like 2 handicap seats, and two companion for the handicap seats. So like there was a space there, so if you were in a wheelchair, you could sit in a wheelchair, and then like the seats they were kind of keeping with like if the person in a wheelchair comes with a companion to sit in. So it's sort of like I was stuck.
It's like a seat and a half, basically. It's kind of like a love seat.
Yeah, and so what happened was like I wanted the companions. Like at first, I kind of wanted the companions. I'm like, hey, if someone shows up with a wheelchair, I'll help them out.
Right, but why not? Bring a pillow with you, a little blanket, you can lay down.
And
snooze through the freaking commercials at the beginning there. Like, they put on a half-hour commercials before they even do trailers these days. Like, that's the kind of part that's a little ridiculous to me.
And that's pretty much, I mean, I think Paul has even, like, said on the show that, you know, Paul's a manager at a movie theater, and it's sort of like, the memo went out that of all the things that they're doing for the movie theaters to make up the money that they're quote-unquote losing to Netflix and so on, is they're going to have a half an hour of commercials for the movie.
Right. But they should start it, in my opinion, earlier. I mean, like, and I understand it too. They're trying to throw the commercials in front of everybody at showtime so that way the most people see it when they're popping it on or whatever. But I don't know. I would say start the commercials a little bit before the showtime. Start the trailers right at the show. Because, I mean, especially too, you always have about 20 minutes of trailers as well. So you're like about a half hour at least before you're actually starting the movie.
And nowadays, if it's a movie that you're not worried about seating, you can show up 20 minutes late to and still not miss the movie.
Well, yeah, but you're talking opening day Avengers. So,
opening
that's a whole different ballgame.
Well, I mean, even like at Tinseltown, where my seat was arranged, I could have come in 20 minutes late.
Well, yeah, because you had
and not missed the movie.
Yeah, I mean
I would have been annoying to people around me. But so I went now because usually, like I said, I record with Austin on our way in, but So I told him, look, I got to leave by 6 because I have to be I wanted to be at the movie theater by 7, which I had plenty of time. You know, from my job or my old job to the theater was probably like a 15-minute car ride at worst. You know, especially rush hour traffic, 15, 20 minutes at worst.
Right.
But I left at 6, so I told him, I said, look, I could come in at 3 and leave at 6, or I can come in early. So he's like, well, you want to come in early? So I said, sure, fuck it. I came in early. So I actually worked with the day shift, which is part of my issues with my old job, is that the day shift is just full of incompetent, lazy, and...
Time clock suckers. I mean, that's usually, dude, whenever I used to work a 9-to-5 job, that's pretty much what it was filled with. When I used to, that's all they're doing. They're trying to suck out the time on the clock, And
that's what's killing me is that...
that's why I never worked. Like, when I had the choice at Sprint to be able to work from home or work at the office, I spent most of my time working from home because I could actually work at home. Because at the office, every time I went there, it was like, first off, I wasn't there all the time, so immediately they were like, oh, fresh blood, drawn into me. Let's tell her all about my weekend and this every story that I've already told everybody else that's been here all week. So now I'm going to go and tell her and everything. So I couldn't ever get anything done because everybody else that I worked with was distracting me. So, yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah, but I loved my time at Sprint and everything, and it's led me to what got me here. So I did that for almost 10 years. And it's been a long time, too, because it was 2009.
So what's your opinion on the Sprint T-Mobile merger?
Actually, I think it's going to be good. I honestly, because especially, too, I still got some Sprint stock, so, But honestly, I do think it's going to be good. As far as, especially with everything that they're looking to do with having the phones, like how in Europe, you can take your same phone and go to any carrier. Use your same phone. We don't have that here. You still have to buy a new phone every time, new carrier. Now they're trying to change all that and everything. And when they first started saying that, I was like, well, it's not going to work here because all the carriers are so much different technology. And, everybody's kind of got, their own little bundle of different types and whatnot. Because over the years, they've acquired different things from the Baby Bells on. And, so I really just think that given just everywhere where, everything's going, I think it's honestly going to be a good thing. So, I've just seen a little bit about it. That's the thing. Lately, I haven't been able to keep up with, the news and stuff as much as I used to, because I'm running so much. And I'm kind of in, my own little tech bubble these days, yelling out at people. So, because I'm working at festivals these days. So, part of my job is which is so funny. Because, Ben came with me for a couple of them and everything, and he was just like, man, he's like, all you do is shout at people, they're class now files, they never wear down. He's like, and they come over and they start telling you their damn life story. He's like, what is it that, why do they do that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, but I just smile and nod, and,
As your pitch, get them to come over to you. And
well,
just
I don't care. Just come over and talk to me for a second and let me show you that it removes hair. You know what I mean? Let me give you a bald spot on your arm and you tell me yes or no and be on your way, but... It does get a little bit annoying, though, sometimes when people are standing there and talking. But then, for instance, too, we had at Cannabis Fest, I had a gentleman come over and start talking, and I realized that he knew Christopher, which Christopher was a gentleman who used to work with the company, but he passed away suddenly last year, and we expected it. And so I was at Cannabis Fest, and the guy started talking to me about, a gentleman, and at first I thought he was talking about Shane, who happens to own the company, but then I realized very quickly, because once he said something about, it's a damn shame he passed away, and I was like, oh, shit, he's talking, which who I didn't really... I never actually knew Christopher personally, which I wish I had. I've kind of gotten to know him in spirit, which is really kind of, cool in a way, but also I feel a little guilty about, too, because, there's been things where, I've, had to look at things like a hard drive, and, that, you're you're not expecting, having somebody look at your hard drive, so I almost felt like I was kind of,
peering into someone's life.
Yeah, but at the same time, too.
It's like reading someone's journal, back in the day.
But I needed to see what was on it, because I needed to see, was there anything business-related, or was it something I needed to send to Shane, or, that kind of thing, because it happened to be with all the stuff that, up here. So, because when he passed away, Shane brought a bunch of stuff here. Of his, and that's how I ended up with a crap load of records. I still have. I found a box of DVDs that I had no idea about. So now there's another damn box of DVDs. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me with this shit? This is the storage wars that just never ends. Because when Christopher passed away, Shane acquired 3 storage lockers down in Atlanta, Georgia, and also acquired the rent for those. And in total, it was $600-700 a month in rent. Yeah, so
Well,
pretty quickly.
Yeah. But for three of them, I mean, that's
So pretty quickly he was down there emptying these things out or whatever. But then, he blew through Rochester and he left a ton of shit in my garage. Like, I had at first... I mean,
I remember you had crates of
there was like what
70s
18 boxes
disco
of DVDs. Oh, and remember too, the CDs were all in those books.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
yeah.
then he had all the cases and the boxes and everything. I had to match up. It was like 18 boxes. I forgot how many we figured out. I think we figured out that there were 100 CDs or something like that. Yeah.
And it was all like
started.
dance, like disco.
He was very gay in the 80s, so it showed in his music selection.
A lot of dance club music.
You go through those records, there's still a ton of like Amy Grant. Like, I don't know what it was about Amy Grant. He loved Amy Grant because he had like all of her records and CDs, like the same stuff, but the CD copies as well and everything. Trying to think what else there was too. A ton of Cher. Whitney, all your typical
dance music.
Britney bitch, of course. Oh man, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've kind of gotten to know him in spirit because of like just kind of going through all this stuff that brought here for me. But yeah, so I found another box that you're gonna have to get dealt with. I don't know. You can thumb through those later if you want to see if there's anything you're interested in.
All right.
Well, because because remember I was taking that stuff down to the Avon Flea Market last year, which I am so grateful to not be working this year because the Avon Flea Market is no fucking joke. None.
Okay.
Shit's going down at the Avon Flea Market. It is like the old-fashioned American land rush. Like, you remember back in the day when they used to ride the horses and pop the freaking flags down and that was the land, Do you know what I'm talking about?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is at Avon, right? So if you don't have a spot reserved, which a lot of people don't do that because if you don't, with the weather, if you don't know what it's going to be like or whatever, you don't want to reserve spots and then end up paying for a spot.
Yeah, it's like a raining weekend and no one's going to show up or something.
Exactly. So, a lot of people don't reserve. So what a lot of people do for the Avon Flea Market game is do like what I was doing, which is waking up in an ungodly hour, like 2:30, 3 o'clock on a freaking Sunday morning, driving out to Avon, right? And then getting out with your flashlight and looking down at the ground to see which spots are reserved, which spots are not, and trying to find the best one that's going to work for you. And I mean, and I've seen like fights going down. Dude, there was this one old guy, right? And like this one guy, he had been, I would have guessed maybe like 37 or something like that, but maybe a little older. And both of them started going at it, right? Because the old guy had came and he had put his he didn't actually set his tent up, but he put his tent down and his 2 tables down. And then he took off. And I watched him do it, you know what I mean? Like, because he was there when I got there. And I watched him take his stuff out. And, so he was claiming his spot, but I think he went to go get coffee or something. Who knows? And while he was gone, I was in my van, and I didn't see this go down. But apparently, the guy had moved his stuff to the spot next to it, which wasn't as good and a little bit more muddier and everything. Because, I mean, you got all those variable factors, too, because there's mud and... like little flooded areas in there and everything. So you want to make sure you get a good spot that's got gravel and everything. I'm telling you, shit is real there. Shit is real. But so anyhow, so he moved it. So he moved his shit over one spot, right? Probably thinking the old man's not, or whoever stuff it is. He didn't probably realize it was the old man stuff, but figuring that they probably weren't going to realize.
You get a gun on your feet, you lose your seat, sort of a deal.
Yeah, exactly. So they moved his shit over and everything. Started setting up their stuff. The old guy comes back and they started fighting. And he actually started like kicking dirt at them like they were on a baseball field or whatever. Security came out, and let me tell you, they have got some real high end security at the Avon Flea Market. So you got like an 18-year-old kid with
with his flashlight, his 4D cell flashlight.
Yeah, and some lady, like older lady, even dressed up in a security shirt and all that. Oh yeah,
top flight security.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. They come over and everything. So yeah, I saw that. I've seen just there was this one guy, Lou, right? So I'm set up there one day and everything. I have my normal setup with the nail files going because that's the business. And then I got all of Christopher's shit laid out, and I'm selling the DVDs and the CDs and stuff. Loan them out for $1, folks, And I'm watching this guy Lou. He gets there. He comes pulling up in this old conversion van, right, into a reserved spot next to unreserved spot that I had taken because I had gone there and done my land with, So he pulls up in this conversion van. And he says good morning to me, and I say good morning to him, and we shake hands and whatever, howdy neighbor, that kind of thing. And then I proceed to watch him, and he comes out, and he doesn't set up a tent or not. but he's got like 2 folding tables. And I watch him set up the 2 folding tables, and that's not really uncommon, you know? But then what took place afterwards was just like to behold. Because all of a sudden he like starts pulling this shit out of his van, right? And he gets the tables set up and everything. That's still kind of, but then he starts pulling out like mirrors and windows, you know? And then I watch him unload a dining room set from this fucking van. And then I watch him unload another dining room set with chairs. I'm reminding you too, right? And then this is like the fucking clown car of conversion vans at a flea market.
So he Tetris the back of his car.
He went from 6 a.m. until noon. I shit you not. Just pulling shit out of his van, talking to customers in between. After he's done talking to a customer, maybe makes a sale or whatever. Back to the van, pulling more shit out. And just where you think there could be possibly no more, he's pulling out, like, and you're just like, where is it all coming from? Like, seriously. Looking underneath, you know, like somebody pushing it up from a hole underneath. Like, what is going on? You know?
The Houdini.
Like, what the hell is going on here? And it was so funny because, like, you know, the one guy, the knife guy, who's got a reserve spot, but he'd be like, I don't blame him either because he comes pulling up, and his setup is easy. He pulls up with his truck. He's got his trailer, unhitches his trailer, moves his truck, comes back to the trailer, opens up, boom, he's in business.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah, so that's the knife guy. And it was cool because the knife guy, once we shut down, because in Avon you shut down at 2, and once we shut down, his name was Mike. He came over and everything, and he helped me kind of break down a little bit. And then he goes to me, he's like, yeah, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go back to helping Lou. I'm like, oh, you want me to help out too, man? He's like, no, he's like, I'm used to this. I do this every week. He's like, we'll have it all back in like 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, that's so nice that you help him, man. He's like, well, I got to, or else he'd be here till midnight.
Taking pity on you, old man.
But I'm telling you, like, he kept on going until noon. And I'm like looking around, and that's how I actually ended up meeting the guy Mike or whatever like that, because like I was joking around. I'm like, look at this guy, and he's like, yeah, he does it every week. He's like, every week he's in that spot. Every week he's pulling all this stuff out. He's like, and every week he's like, we're loading it back up. He's like, I don't know how much he sells down here. He's like, but he keeps coming back. He's like, so he's got to do okay.
People get to a certain age, they gotta have that gives them something to do.
And that's what a lot of
that's keeping them alive.
Even these regular craft markets and stuff. Yeah, because like you kind of got different elements to like these real festivals. You know what I mean? You got the people who do the crafting. They're usually like the retirees. They're doing it for a hobby. It gives them something to do. They're not necessarily looking to make money, but they want to at least break even. Yeah. You know, but they, you know, like the one guy, for instance, at Springtime at Canandaigua, which was kind of a bus show, to be honest with you, you know. But I had a great time. I met some couple of really cool people. I met the Twisted Sauce guy, you know, which, I mean, like, oh my God, talk about some really good freaking sauce. They're local, too. They're like down in the southern tier, but it's called Twisted Sauce. They got this barbecue sauce that's like a Parmesan garlic.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's a red sauce though. Like that's the whole thing. Like with Parmesan garlic, you usually kind of think white, you know, but this is a red sauce, Parmesan garlic, red barbecue sauce, and it's fucking delicious, especially on chicken. But yeah, like so I met those guys there and everything, but. There was a lot of people at like Canandaigua that had actually like driven in, were staying in the parking lot in their trailers even, you know what I mean? And it was because that's like their first festival of the year, and it kind of kicks off their festival season, but their festival season is really a reason to go traveling.
Okay, yeah, see the world.
So you get that. Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. Like honestly, that's probably where I'm going to head with this thing, like eventually when I get older, you know, like I'll probably, even if I'm not doing the nail files anymore or whatever, because you never know what's going to end up happening. Like I love the whole nail files thing. Love my product, believe in my product. That's why I'm selling my product, you know?
Just doing the circuit. Just doing the circuit, like, you know, like...
yeah, for now, you know, and hopefully, you know...
It's festival season,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully I keep going with that, or you never know what's going to end up happening someday. I don't know what the future's going to bring, you know, but I kind of foresee myself at least always doing something with this now at this point, because I've gotten so involved into this life, and I do love this life, and it's so, like, different, and even for it being the same, everything is, like, always different, and every event's different, and, you know... But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember where I was going. That's what happens. I get talking, I get rambling.
Were you at the Cannabis Fest?
I was at the Cannabis Fest.
I mean, I saw
what
you
post... What a great festival the Cannabis Fest is. And I know it sounds like kind of like, you know, worse than this. There really wasn't a lot of people smoking weed. Not in the open. They kind of had this one area. Because, I mean, the thing was like the Cannabis Fest really was family-friendly and dog-friendly. You know, was kind of like how they were really trying to pump it. And they really did keep it that way. Like, if there was somebody walking around smoking it, and this is what kind of different, too. Like, you know, like, again, It is illegal in PA, so I probably shouldn't be saying this. But, so we'll say that I allegedly saw some cops telling some people openly smoking marijuana on more than one occasion to take it to,
Well, yeah, I mean, like in New York City, and I have friends that work at NYPD, on like the days of the big parades, St. Patrick's Day, the Puerto Rican Day Parade, to a lesser extent the Thanksgiving Day Parade, but especially like St. Patrick's and the Puerto Rican Day Parade, they're sort of like, they basically just tell the cops, don't fucking arrest me.
Yeah, they weren't arresting them. They were just telling them basically get it out of the area where we got children walking around. And that's really all it was. Like they were just kind of keeping it out of the way of like, where you would have people walking, like down by the stage where the music was going on and stuff. Like they weren't letting kids down in that area anyhow. So there you go. That's kind of where it was and everything. And they had guys walking around, like, honestly, if you didn't actually see their suits through, you would have actually thought they were walking bushes. Because, like, it looked so real. It was awesome. I mean, like, it really was. It totally looked like a pot bush, or a pot plant. And, but, yeah, they had, like, green suits on underneath. And, like, if you didn't actually see the suit, you would have had no idea that was
camouflage type.
Yeah, they did the best they could on that one. And the way that festival was set up, it was very organized, very efficient, and they just, and it was just a good time. Like everybody in the mood. It was the first festival of the year down there for them, so they were all in a good mood. The one I just did this weekend was the Crawfish Fest. That was downtown Syracuse. I ended up doing that one last minute because they had a cancellation. And that one is again, the first festival of the year for Syracuse. Everybody's been bundled up in the house all winter long. Yeah. So it really was. It was a good atmosphere, good crowd. Met a lot of good people and everything. I mean, Canada Day was, like, fun. Don't get me wrong. I just wish there would have been more people there to sell to.
Yeah, because for people who don't know, Canada Day was, like 45 minutes outside
45 minutes from here. It's considered to be a city, but, it's kind of like a
It's a suburb of Rochester. It really is. Everyone who lives in Canandaigua has some sort of business in Rochester. And then I know because I used to work out in a mall where... that was like the closest Radio Shack. So people from Canandaigua who only had Verizon service would come to our store, which at that particular time we didn't have Verizon yet at Radio Shack. So hey, can I talk to you about your cell phone provider? You have Verizon? No. Well, then you can't help me because I live out in Canandaigua. and nothing you could do to help me. But yeah, I don't see Canandaigua as like having a lot of foot traffic, you know what I'm saying?
It was a lot of older people, and then especially too, the one thing, and this was the one thing I commented on a survey about, was either charge the vendors rent or charge tickets at the door, but don't do both. And I suggest charging the vendors rent and not charging.
Oh,
because they were charging $5 at the door for the show, which I didn't realize that either until I was there. I didn't realize a lot of stuff before I got to Canandaigua. Canandaigua was the show that I kind of got thrown into in a way. Even though I knew it was coming up and everything, but I don't know. Shane, who does I do the files with, isn't always the best communicator. He can be sometimes when he tries, but he knows it. I'm not even exposing him or nothing like that. He knows he's a shitty communicator. I sent him a mug at Christmas time that said "World's okayest boss," because he does his best, but he's so. His thing is that he's got so many freaking, what do they call it, pans on the stove or whatever, that he's so freaking overwhelmed because he's got so much. But, so he didn't communicate to me that it was an indoor show, so I didn't realize that. They were looking for us to have some springtime decorations. I did too. That was an indoor show. They said, people paying at the door, whatever. It was and that was, it brought in an older crowd, grandmas and stuff, and that was kind of harder to sell my product to. And there was a lot of people that had bought from the previous couple of years because it was the same people attending the show that had been there in past years too. So but I don't know. Festivals are awesome though. I do gotta admit. I can see you're looking at the time.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just because it's I was getting worried about Infinity War spoilers.
I know. We didn't even discuss
20 minutes later. That's sort of no. So no, because you're not up on your Infinity War.
I haven't watched it. No, I'm behind on everything pretty much. I haven't had a chance. I did see Ready Player One, and I did really enjoy it.
Oh.
That's
I remember you were gearing up to take the kids.
I'm so psyched. Seriously, I really did love it. I thought they did a really excellent job with it and everything. I just kind of wish it would have stayed a little bit. They did stay true to the book, but not as much as they could have. And I kind of wish they would have like stuck more to the book because I thought the way that the book was presented just really kind of laid it out better. But
yeah, I think they kind of wanted to just wrap it up with the whole like I think they wanted with like the romance, like with the girl, and it goes, oh, I'm so hideous. I'm like, you're fine as hell.
I know
she's there with like a belly shirt and like pom shorts, Oh no, I'm hideous. What? Because you have a little bit of red
and
around your eye.
And that's when like a fat girl like me too is just like really, and that makes you not really like her there.
Yeah.
You're kind of actually looking at her like
you're gonna love me when you see the movie. And I don't like to play games. Like, come on. And then even in the book, the main character is supposed to be like he's not like fat, but he's
a little overweight and yeah. But then at one point too, he says like that he starts to kind of get himself a little thinned out.
Yeah, because he's on the treadmill.
Yeah,
he's
obviously for a movie, they're gonna end up popping somebody on there that's more Ryan Reynolds-esque or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he looks like the
Ryan
dude.
Reynolds just comes to mind just because of Deadpool coming out.
He looks like the dude from Miles Teller from Fantastic Four and Whiplash.
Okay, yeah.
He looks like that guy. I like that they had all these characters in the background. I kind of wish they pushed them. I mean, especially with this being a Warner Brothers movie, and I think I might have said this on another episode, but
Oh, did you guys talk about Ready Player One?
I think we might have, yeah.
I didn't listen to like the last couple or whatever with Austin or whatever, but yeah, let's talk about that for a second. So how is Austin doing first off?
So Austin's doing good. Once again, I think like I'm gonna have to do some scheduling dynamics and gymnastics to probably get him on the show because without like probably on the weekends and stuff like that I might be able to like get him, but then on the weekends I have my daughter, so
is he taking over for Paul or is Paul coming back?
No, Paul. I just sort of like without having my car and stuff like that. Like, and I appreciate you picked me up today and stuff like that. Like Paul's the type of guy like Paul, I'm pretty sure Paul doesn't mind doing the show, but it's not like he's not going to go out of his way to come pick me up and take me to his house, and then when the show's over, drop me off. I mean, I guess if I found because I mean, right now, especially being between losing my job and the other job, like having a car, like I've been taking Ubers everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, yeah, you could take the bus everywhere for the most part, but then it's like, what's your time worth?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it'll take you 2 hours to get there, though, when it takes you normally like 10 minutes in a car.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like,
So
I could spend
downtown and transfer and all that fun shit.
Yeah, I could spend $14 getting to work and being in work in 15 minutes, or an hour and a half sitting on the bus going to the exactly what you said, the downtown station, and the station downtown. Not the greatest of areas,
All they did was take all that shit that was going on Main Street, and they just contained it underground into one little area and kind of.
And it's like, let's pour gasoline and nitroglycerin and pure grain alcohol, and let's put all this mixed together, and let's just see what happens. And it's remember like 2 summers ago, like kids were like organizing fights there, like on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what happened with the teens in the schools, and that's what kind of stopped the whole like the changing of the school buses as far as like how they were doing it was because of those fights that were happening.
And so and once again, I don't think it's like Paul doesn't want to be part of the show. I just think it's like Paul sort of like, if I go to his house, he'll sit there and talk with me. So I sort of like with Austin coming to the pitch, I was like, okay, I could give Paul a break. Because he has his other podcast and his 2 jobs.
But you gotta talk to him about it.
My
understanding is that you guys haven't even talked.
We haven't spoken, and that's
you guys aren't even fighting. You're like, we're not fighting.
I just felt like that's the whole thing. I felt like I was inconveniencing him to do the podcast, and so I'm sort of like, okay. And once again, this is totally probably in my head. I'm like, okay. If I'm going to be a pain in the ass, well, let me fall back and not be such a pain in the ass, And so I do plan on calling him, because then I don't know about him. I got my thing about Comic-Con. But see, I go through Comic-Con under his podcast, but he doesn't know anybody. No one's really in New York. No one involved in his other podcast is in New York City.
Okay.
Or like even the other guy, Matt, who's like the cameraman. Matt comes from like the middle of the state of New York, and then he stays in Jersey. And I mean, it's funny. Like, the tickets are free for Comic-Con, but what he's paying for hotels and transportation,
right.
And I was like, because he comes in from Jersey every day when we're doing the pod. Me, I'm at my mom's house.
Right, so
I go to mom's house and I hop on the subway, and I'm at the Jacob Javits Center. So I mean, I don't know if maybe he even wants me to do it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he said, no, we're not going to go in that direction this year because you're an asshole and you haven't called me. But it's sort of,
I don't think he's. I don't know. I've talked to him a little bit here or there, like on messaging, whenever, like, he told me that he had heard when you lost your job. It was after you lost your job. And he had said to me, like, I heard a bunch of people got laid off at the same time. So, like, and I was like, like,
yeah, we're certainly not fighting. I just sort of, like, I felt like I was inconveniencing him a little bit. So I said, let me just fall back a little bit and give him
but you haven't just fallen back a little bit. You've, like, fallen back completely. And now, I mean, like, because how many months has it been, too? It's been months at this point.
Pretty much since January. We're not fighting. But look, I mean,
that's what kind of so
I have friends from New York City that I haven't spoken to in years. I mean, yeah, you interact on Facebook, but it's sort of like,
but you don't have something like a project like this with them.
Yeah, that's
true. You know
true,
what I mean?
True.
Like, honestly, you probably should have talked to Paul before you and I talked about Renee.
Yeah. I just because right now with the new job, my whole fucking life is in flux. Because I mean, the job is okay, but it's not paying as much as I feel they should be paying. Well, and it's not like much like my other job, it's in manufacturing. I'm working with my hands all day. It's not a bad job. It's not like it's not killing me or anything like that. But it's also, at the end of the day, you are kind of exhausted. The good thing is the day flies by. The bad news, but the bad thing is, your feet hurt and your wrists hurt.
But over time too, you get used to it.
Yeah, I'll get used to it. Same way I got used to, the last job I had in manufacturing was sort of, it takes an adjustment period. So I'm still like in that adjustment period. And then like, it was just crazy because like, Thursday I go see Infinity War. Friday I'm fired. The woman from the agency called me and said, they sent me an report. Yeah, they sent me an email saying, telling me he doesn't have to show up. And I'm like, all right. And then she goes, and mind you, it wasn't the woman that set it up in the first place. Once again, I was the last person there from the agency. So it was a different woman. She goes, I inherited the account, for the lack of a better term, I guess the other person. And she goes, well, I have another place that, if you want to have an interview, I could get you an interview on Monday. So I was like, all right. So I went, and and once again, it doesn't seem like a bad place to work. I just wish it paid a little better. Yeah. And so I went into the interview.
But at least you're working, so that way you can still find something better even if you're too. It's a lot easier to obtain something you're already working than it is for you to obtain something.
Yeah, when I was, in between the last job, in between that last, where before I was working right before and in between, I was like unemployed for like a month and a half or something like that, and like that month and a half sucked, like going to all these interviews and dealing with all the bullshit and driving around and like and then it sucks when you interview for a job that you either don't want or aren't gonna get. And you're
but you still gotta seem all enthusiastic, like I plan to.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, once again, where I work now isn't bad. I just wish it paid better. And we are about half an hour in, so we'll just take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Dick and Fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of it.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little history all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How did you watch this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com. And now for listeners of Two Strangers One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. All right, so let me see. What else is
what's on your
new
notes?
in my life? Okay, so I know you haven't been into the movies, Netflix shows. Have you been watching Lost in Space at all?
No, I actually just got done with the Arrested Development Fatal Consequence, or what they called it.
They took
I
the
love what
season-
they did, actually. They took season 4, because they fucked up season 4. Because, like, you'll remember this. Remember when they came out with
You were super
4?
excited
I
about
was
it.
super excited about it, where I was, like, freaking watching it on slow download at Corfu, at Darien Lake Camping, on my phone. I was psyched, and it was shit. I hated the way that they did it.
Because they did it out of order or something like that?
Well,
Or?
they totally changed, like, the whole way that they do it. Like, it was all the same cast and everything, but as opposed to it being, like, how they just tell kind of like a storyline, they decided to do it by, like, individual characters.
Okay, gotcha.
And every episode was kind of like, every individual character's storyline or
And then
whatever.
you kind of put it together in your head, like,
And
okay.
it was not bad, but it wasn't great. It just was, and it definitely wasn't what us fans, like, were expecting, and a lot of us were not thrilled.
Yeah, that's a weird shift, like, in between.
Yeah.
To just, we're going to change the style of the show. It's going to, like,
It
it
was
reminds me
like-
of, like, that Seinfeld backwards episode where, like, they where all the jokes, each scene was something from
Yeah.
previous, which is good for, like, an episode.
Right.
To do things backwards because, it's a little fun and playful, but for a whole season, that's a
And
little...
especially after we had been waiting for so long and had been teased about, too. I mean, as far as, like, they threw at us, like, they're going to do a movie. No, they're not going to do a movie. Oh, they're going to bring it back on this network. Okay, they're not bringing it back on this network. All right, they're bringing it back on this network, but this person's not going to be able to come back because they're working on this. I mean, like, there was so much, like, flip-flop and, like, fake news that came out about it and everything that by the time they finally got around to it and they actually put out something, we were very excited for it. And then it was not what we were waiting for. So it was very disappointing. And honestly, the season 4 recut that they did was exactly what we were waiting for, and then so funny. I mean, like, even if you did watch, and which I did watch the season 4 in its entirely the first time and all that, it still throws a lot of new stuff in. There's a lot of new jokes in there and everything, and it's really just well worth watching. I binge watched pretty much, like, as much as I could. The first day it was out, because that was Friday, I watched a bunch of it. I didn't really get a chance to watch it on Saturday because I was at Crawfish Fest.
Yeah.
And, and then I watched the rest of it last night and I absolutely loved it. They just announced season 5 is coming out on May 29th. So that was actually just before we got on. I saw that online that they said May 29th now. Like, first they said very, very soon. And then they actually came out with the date this morning. I think that what Netflix is doing is kind of smart now because of the Orange is the New Black thing that happened last year. Where, like, the hacker hacked in and found the first 10 episodes and leaked them out. Because if you're noticing, like, Netflix isn't announcing a lot of, like, dates for a lot of their real popular shows anymore until, like, just before it's happening.
Here it is right now.
Yeah, so because, like, it happened where, like, Arrested Development said, like, okay, we're going to do the recut, or, release the recut, and that's going to be in a few days, which also, I mean, like, coincided with May 4th, which, May the 4th, but also...
the Cinco de Cuatro.
Exactly. They have that running joke going on in the series to begin with, and then they really play it up in the recut, let me tell you. And yeah, so then they said May 29th is going to be the 5th season, and the 5th season is going to be done the way that they've done the original 3 and the recut of the 4th. So thank God for that.
And they're bringing back Jeffrey Tambor. because I think it's one of those deals where there was some sort of allegation to him, Hollywood people saying inappropriate behavior, because he stopped doing that Transparent show.
Really? I didn't hear any of this.
But right now...
But that's the whole thing. There's so many of them out there at this point, too. I mean,
I could be wrong.
It's almost like every day there's a new one added to the list. Like, I couldn't believe it when they had Tom Brokaw last. Wasn't it like last week that they said, like, Tom Brokaw?
Oh, yeah.
You know, he got popped on the list or like that. I mean, like, you know... Brad Williams was funny too, because like at the comedy show when I went and saw Brad Williams last winter, he was saying, like, joking around about that, and he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, it doesn't even faze people anymore. He's like, you know, he's like, you know, Tony Danza, and then you hear me, I'm like, what? And he's like, see, he's like, she believed it. And here I am, like, oh, thank God it's not Tony Danza, because I'm Italian, so Tony Danza is pretty sacred to us. You know?
Tony Danza.
I was like, no, Tony Danza, no way.
He filled up Mona and Angela.
Oh, God, no, he is sacred.
The patron saint.
It's the voice. I'm telling you.
I mean, Jeffrey Tambor is he's denying all kind of allegations. So you know, so it's funny that he's going to come back for arrest. And I guess obviously there must be like, it obviously probably is just allegations, because they remember Kevin Spacey. I think they had like the guy saying it like, oh, he molested me when I was 14 and I was at a party.
Kevin Spacey came out with the worst response though too, because his response was kind of like, well, hey, I'm gay, so that makes all right, and everybody's like,
I was saying, but Netflix dropped him from House of Cards. You know, Netflix like, fuck you, you know. And then, But I think Jeffrey Tambor's situation, once again, just allegations. So
that's the whole thing too, because like you got like Ryan Seacrest, for instance, too, who I personally am not a huge fan of or nothing like that. But you know, he was very quick when something came out against him too. For him to be like, listen, I don't know where this is coming from, and if I did something unknowingly, you know, I feel bad about that, and I would love to talk with the I forgot who the person's name is, but you know, I want to talk to her and get that right and everything.
Slide her a check under the table. No,
but he's like, but no way in hell did this shit happen. And I was like, okay, I'm like, you know what though, if you got something like this going on, I'm like, you know, good for him. Teddy, no, good for him for you know, coming out and saying like, no, this isn't what happened. This is how it went down, and not just sitting there and just taking it, kind of sitting down. Because I mean, like, you know, this whole thing is kind of like a double-edged sword. You know?
Yeah.
Because you can have people too that can sit there and say like any.
Yeah, I mean, you could have had a totally consensual. He could have. It could have been someone that at one point had a totally consensual thing with him, right? And then you know, unfortunately, someone with the wrong mindset, like, oh, I could make this. You know, I could pull a Stormy Daniels fucking, you know, get $130,000, you know, to shut up, and even after that, she still didn't shut up.
Oh man, I don't see how she can get. I mean, like, honestly, because I mean, like, there's a contract in place, right? I mean, like, if I understand this whole thing correctly, there's a contract in place that says like she's not allowed to talk about it, and that's what the payout was and everything. And then she started talking about it, and then now, like, you know, she's got the lawsuit against him because he said that, you know, she lied or whatever. So she's like, oh, that's, you know, defaming me. Mm-hmm. And but it's like, I don't see how she's going to get out of this whole thing, because, like, first off, I mean, you know, Trump's been a very smart businessman with very smart business lawyers for a very long time, you know? So, like, I don't see how she's not violating a contract even by discuss. You know,
yeah, I think it's sort of, it's just it's a blatant F you. But I don't want. Let's not get into politics on this. But I'm just saying, is this, you know, it's going to be someone that's like, oh, I could get a payday to that extent.
I mean, like, and there is some of that going on. I mean, like, obviously, a lot of these allegations are obviously true, and it's terrible for, you know, like, anything that really has come.
Yeah, you're gonna end someone's career and stuff like that, or you know, if it's a fake thing, you know. Like,
but like, for instance, too, like, there's that whole thing with that one girl and Scott Baio, the one actress from, what was it? She was from.
Oh, Nicole Eggert. Was that?
I think that's her name. Yeah, I couldn't remember what her name was.
Charles and Charles, yeah.
But yeah, Charles and Charles. Thank you. I was trying to think of the show too, where she's trying. I think she's full of shit. I'm sorry, but like, I look at that whole. Have you seen that situation?
I mean, I remember hearing something about it, and plus she was on Baywatch and stuff like that. Like, you're like kind of hot to trot, you know what I'm saying? And now you all of a sudden you're gonna say, oh no, I was taken advantage of. I'm pretty sure it was consensual, and you're just.
Right. I mean, like, we're discussing situations like that. We're not discussing things like, you know, the, you know, other actresses who really have, like, you know, especially the ones like Harvey Weinstein has a list for this movie, you know, and Man, Bill Cosby got convicted last week. I couldn't believe that one, that he actually got
saying
convicted.
he could
but
do.
You know what? I mean, obviously, then he must have done it.
Yeah, well, they said it could be 10 years he could do, but he's already like in his late 70s or 80s or something like that. Like, and he's already blind, and like if he goes to jail, which I don't know, he may have enough lawyers to kind of just say, like, look,
be able to stall it out long enough until the coffin.
Yeah, keep him under house arrest or something.
The coffin.
He's not going to leave the house. We'll put him in, and I think he
that's
already
how
has
starting it, his house arrest or whatever.
It's it's just going to be weird when he's gonna carry those charges until he's put in the ground. Especially he's at the point where he's blind and stuff like that, and then like this kind of pressure, isn't conducive to like a healthy lifestyle and stuff like that. So he's probably gonna be still under charges by the time he gets in the ground. All right, let's let that go. So like a Netflix, I finished watching, just as a matter of fact, last night, Lost in Space.
Okay.
And it was pretty good. Are you familiar with the old show?
I've just seen
whatever?
a little thumbnail.
Okay, well, I mean, it's based on the show from the '60s, and it's about a family gets lost in space, and in this one, it's a mom and dad. Remember the '90s movie, the late '90s? It was like William Hurt.
I remember
Matt LeBlanc, Heather Graham.
Right on.
Lacey Chabert from Party of Five.
See, I never actually watched it.
Well, they did a movie in the late '90s, and it's just so weird. Like, obviously, Matt LeBlanc is like stunt cat. Like, people, like they put him in a movie because like, oh, people are gonna go see Joey. Mm-hmm. Heather Graham,
especially too back in the '90s, he was very nice.
Oh yeah, and that was like, I want to say Friends was over. But like Friends was over like maybe a year or two or something like that when they did the movie. So like he still had that Friends heat on him.
I mean, even as an older man too, he's actually pretty, I would have some daddy issues for him.
And it was before Joey. I know that. It was definitely before Joey. And Heather Graham, late '90s, Heather Graham was like almost her peak. And what I'm just saying is that for a lot of people, because I was a fan of the '60s TV show. Like I remember catching that. Like it was like Lost in Space and Twilight Zone and like Alfred Hitchcock and stuff like that. Like it was, more like Nick at Night, but still, it was like. It was in that vein of shows, and about a family.
The ones that were on way later, because back then, like TV was still kind of structured with like the whole like people watch. Or see, I used to watch like the earlier part of the night when it first came on, and you had your Donna Reed and your My Three Sons.
Yeah, the more family.
Mr. Ed, that was the stuff that I watched, and you're talking about the stuff that was on later on.
Yeah, later.
They still gave a shit back then.
And so, and it's about, a family that's on a ship that gets lost in space, and there's a robot on it, and then in that show, there was like a doctor, Dr. Zachary Smith, who was sort of like, he sort of sabotaged the mission. Okay. It didn't go his way, and then he ends up getting stuck with the family on the fucking planet, and he's like the scumbag and the robot. But on this show, and I hope I'm not really, and it's not really spoilers because it was kind of spoiled for me, but then, so it's Parker Posey. So then they did for the show. They made the doctor a woman, but then it turns out
I like her.
There is a Dr. Smith. She stole his identity. He dies, and she steals his identity. And so like, and in this show, she plays a fucking sociopath. She plays like a person that she is crazy, and she will tell you anything you want to hear. But she's also, she's manipulative, but she almost does it almost instinctually. It's not like she's trying to say, "Oh, I'm going to manipulate this person, have them do what I want."
Right.
But she just does it. And then, like at one part, there was a part of the episode where she says something, and they're like, "Do you mean it?" And then she goes, "No, I just said that because that's what you want to hear," or something like that. And it's kind of, they kind of twisted the Dr. Smith, where I guess in this series, had the original Dr. Smith lived, he would have been a good guy. He's a doctor, Right. She's a girl who, she doesn't kill him. I don't want to, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but she is kind of responsible for his death, and then she steals his identity. And so, and once again, that's like a mild spoiler, and that happens in the first episode. I really dug it, and then in this story where they have like, and from the original series, the robot at first is a bad guy, and then gets kind of like reprogrammed, and then becomes like the little boy's protector. So that's kind of cool. they kind of they work with that in the show also, and it reminds me of like Groot from the. I guess we're not going to get to any Avengers, so don't worry about that. We won't get to any Avengers spoilers in this episode. But you know, in the show, well, in the TV show, in the '60s one, the robot. He's kind of spoke in the beginning, but his catchphrase was "Danger, Will Robinson," because the little boy's name was Will Robinson. So he would always say "Danger, Will Robinson." So in this show, that's all he says. Also, "Danger, Will Robinson." You know, he does say some other things later on, but that's a little goes into spoiler territory. But so it reminds me of like Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxy, where all he says is 3 words. Like he's super powerful, he's really strong, and all this crazy stuff, but all he says is, you know, "Danger, Will Robinson." But I really dug it, and I think like even if you're even like remotely interested from like the TV show, the movie was sort of like it was very 90s and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the movie did the show any kind of real justice. But a lot of people tend to be more familiar with Lost in Space from the movie than the TV show.
Does it have like a following or anything like that, like a little bit of a cult following?
Yeah, I mean it's the same people. Like if you like Star Trek, if you like the original Star Trek, you'll like Lost in Space because you know it's sort of, and it was one of those deals where like, you know, since they were Lost in Space, every week was a new alien they had to deal with, and it was, you know, and sometimes the aliens were like you know, these aliens are supposed to be the, you know, the communists, you know, and stuff like that, the socialists or whatever. So this one, it's I don't want to say action, but it is pretty good, you know, for what it was, and I'm surprised. I feel it should be getting a little more play, like, and they left it open for season 2, so it probably will be a season 2. But like, I wish people were talking about it a little more. So I just wanted to, you know, and I just finished watching.
That's kind of how I feel about the Joel McHale show, because they brought back. Well, they didn't bring it back. They had, you know, Joel McHale was on the Soup on E for the longest time, and then they decided to cancel it, and then we had like a couple of years. That, to be honest with you. I really was like there was times I actually said I was like I missed the Soup. Like because it wasn't just the show, but it was also like the stuff on their particular like Facebook site and stuff like that they would put up. I mean, like they just added a lot of humor into your day, and then when it was gone, it was just kind of like, oh, you know. And now they got the Joel McHale show, which is the same thing, but you know, McHale show between Netflix or whatever. So they called it the Joe McHale show with Joe McHale. Very creative, and you know, I mean, like, it's just hysterical, and like so many references and everything just comes from it. But like, there's so many of my friends that don't even realize that it's on. Can't really help that. Sorry.
Yeah, I think when Austin was out for his appendicitis surgery, he said he watched a lot of the Joe McHale show on Netflix. He said it was pretty great.
It's
I just haven't had a chance to. You know, I haven't watched it yet, but I got my hands on the new season of Black Mirror. And of course, the new season of Lost in Space. So that's my next thing is Black Mirror.
I watched another rerun through right before I went to Cannabis Fest, because Cannabis Fest was in Scranton. Mm-hmm. And
that's right.
Right, yeah. So right before that, I did a whole watch through, and I watched all the seasons of The Office. You know, it took me a while. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, but I did it. And you know, it was funny because like Ben and I went, and we were where the festival was only 5 minutes away from like Poor Richard's Pub and Alfredo's Pizzeria. Alfredo's Pizzeria Cafe. And there's a difference. Like, did you ever watch the show?
Yeah, no.
There's a whole episode, right? It's like, I mean, and this is what totally just kills me. First off, I want to kind of backtrack. Poor Richard's Pub, right? Uh-huh. So we pop the address in Google, hit start, do our drive or whatever, and it's like, you have arrived. And we're looking around and we're like, where the fuck is it? You know? Because I mean, like, it takes us, like, you know, first off, where we were with the park and everything like that, you know, it's like a suburb, you know, so it's pretty nice. I mean, not like the nicest, but it's nice and everything. And it was literally like we crossed the tracks, and it was like a total, like all of a sudden, like immediately we're just in like the fucking hood, you know? And so we're there, and then we're looking and seeing, like, well, where the hell is it? And we can't see it. So Ben's like, okay, you know what? He's like, put it in your phone. He's like, I'm going to go pull over here and see if it's in this plaza, because there was a plaza. He's like, I'm going to go see if it's in this plaza over here. He goes, and do me a favor, put it in your phone to see what your phone comes up with, you know? Mm-hmm. So then we go into the plaza, and we see that Alfredo's Pizzeria Cafe is there. So we're like, oh, beautiful. If we don't want to eat something at Poor Richard's, there it is, you know? And so I put the thing in the GPS, and it tells us that, you know, we're only a minute away. Mm-hmm. Just got to turn on the plaza, so we do it and everything, and it's, you have arrived. And we're like, well, what the fuck? Because we're in front of this bowling alley, you know? And it says it, though, I mean, like, it's got on the front and on the sides, Southside Bowl, Southside Bowl, South. So there's no signage whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, obviously we're wrong. But then there was a guy who came out, and he was smoking a cigarette. So Ben's like, let's go ask him. So we pull over, sir, you know where Port Rich's Pub is? And he looks at us like we're fucking stupid. He's like, it's inside. You know? Yeah, you dumbasses. So we park and everything. We go in there. And as soon as you walk into it says Port Rich's Pub. We got the arrow and everything. And I walked in there. And I'm like, holy shit, I did it in the office. That's awesome. They got the Dundee and everything. And so I go over to the bar and I asked the woman. First we started looking at the menu. Mm-hmm. You know, because I asked the girl for a menu. And she's like, we don't have a menu. She's like, everything's on the TV. And then they got it on the TV and it just kind of pops up like credits almost, you know? And it's a very short menu. And Ben looks at me. He's like, there's not anything. Because, you know, I had to change the whole diet. So that's when we're like, yeah, we're definitely going Alfredo's. And so we went over to the bar. And I asked the woman, I'm like, you know, I heard that you guys have T-shirts here to sell. And she said, yeah, absolutely. She's like, you're an Office fan? I said, yeah. And she's like, you know, we got a Dundee here, right? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I wanted to ask you next. Where is it? And she's like, right. You know, she points to it and she's like, you want to see it? I'm like, yeah. And so then she takes it, right? And she slams it down on the bar. And she walks away. And me and Ben are looking at each other like, should we take it? Should we do it? Should we do it? You know? Like, we really did. We actually contemplated it for just a millisecond, but then we were just like, no, let's just picture. Snap the picture.
They got a box of them in the back.
Right.
You're not the first person to steal the Dundee.
Fuck, Rosie, why do you keep walking away from the Dundies? So, so I got the hell the Dundee and got the picture and everything, bought the T-shirt, and got out and everything. So then we go over to Alfredo's Pizzeria Cafe, and we sat down. Awesome place. Let me tell you, the service was great. I mean, like, it's kind of like a, you know, like Lowe's, you know, like Italian restaurant, but lower scale as far as like the atmosphere is concerned. But still, they try to make it as nice as they can because they're in a plaza and everything. You would think, because I mean, remember, like, there's not only like references throughout the season, like just little plugs throughout the season for this place or anything like that, you know. But there was a whole episode there was dedicated to like the whole premise of, well, did you order from Alfredo's Pizzeria Cafe or did you order from Pizza by Alfredo? Because there's a distinct difference between these two pizza places, you know? And if you remember correctly too, Michael ordered from the shitty pizza place, the Pizza by Alfredo, and kidnaps the freaking pizza delivery guy. Do you remember all this?
Yeah.
Whole fucking episode over this whole thing. Not one thing from The Office having to do with Alfredo. They didn't, because I asked the lady, I'm like, do you guys have any T-shirts to buy or anything like that? She's like, no. And then she comes back out later and she's like, do you want one of my pens? She's like, I feel bad because you guys are from Rochester and you're excited about being here. She's like, and we don't have anything to offer you. They didn't capitalize one bit on that. You would, I mean, like a national.
Let me tell you about a nice business opportunity we can work out here.
Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I mean, like, your missed opportunities completely. What the fuck? I mean, like, I would have T-shirts and banners. I mean, like, dude, I wouldn't give a shit.
NBC would have to send me a cease and desist letter for all the shit I'd be merchandising.
That's what I'm saying. I'd be like, hey, y'all put me in there. I didn't ask for this. You brought me in, you know, and I'm just in. So, yeah, not one thing. I got a pen. She gave me her pen, which was really nice of her and everything. Because she felt bad. So I'm like, you guys want nothing?
I'd merchandise the shit out of it.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, my kids have got a YouTube channel with 100 subscribers, and they're talking about fucking merch, okay? Like, they are. They've actually been working on their logo, right? Yeah, if anybody wants to go to that, it's called Louis and Stuff Gaming 2.0 is what his channel is. Yeah, real simple name. Good job, kids. You know, way to listen to me. I always tell them, keep it short, keep it simple. They're like, yeah, Louis and Gaming 2.0. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's a whole sentence. But yeah, they're working on their logo and their merch and everything. They're freaking 11, 10, and 6. Yeah, but they're working on merch. But then again, they're my kids too, so they kind of got a little bit of a predisposed to that between me and especially too, like, you know, the two older one, their dad. You know, because he's really like he's a business type guy like that too. So. Yep. Gotcha. Two salesmen. They're just kind of natural into that whole thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then okay, so you said you were getting earlier. You had mentioned Deadpool.
Yeah, it's coming out, right?
Comes out in a week.
I don't know. It's coming. It's
happening. It's in a week or so.
I don't know. They got Ryan Reynolds every fucking where right now, so it's coming.
I haven't seen the official. I haven't seen it officially, but I've seen it online. Have you seen he did a video with Celine Dion?
I saw.
It's like a legit Celine Dion It's like a legit Celine Dion
Where she
video.
she responds back to him or whatever like that. It's a bunch of fucking ridiculousness.
She did it's a legit Celine Dion song.
Well, yeah, I heard. It's a song.
And there's a video where she's filmed where she's on a stage and everything where it's a legit. It looks like My Heart Will Go On, except like then fucking Deadpool comes out on the stage or something like that.
Canadian represent Canadian.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Well, yeah, they're both Canadian.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
See, I kind of got an eye for this though too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love medians. You know that. Oh God, I'm so looking forward. Darien Lake opened last weekend. We're going for our first one this weekend. We're splitting a cabin with Heather this particular time, so that's gonna be interesting because it's gonna be Heather, her teenage son, and 2 of his friends, and then me and my 3 all shoved into one of the little cabins. But it'll be fun. And I'm just psyched about that though too. But that's like the one thing I love about Darien Lake is like Darien Lake is like invasion, you know. So and all of the stereotypes totally like I've only met one Canadian that was really kind of an asshole, you know, but he was a little drunk too, so that might have been the alcohol a bit. Oh, okay. You know, yeah. Yeah, because he asked me a question about my kids or whatever, and I answered him, and then he was just kind of like, and I'm like, yeah, have a good night. You know, I was like, I'm getting the fuck away from you.
Well, it's May 18th, technically, is the first day, so right around the corner, next weekend.
Yeah, I'll be at, that weekend I go to Dansville for the Dogwood Festival, which I'm not even sure what the Dogwood. Well, I'm sure I'm going to find out. There'll probably be some kind of fucking mascot of it, you know? That's the one thing I do love, too, about the festivals. Like, every single one, like, the festivals, not, like, your shows. Like, there's a difference between festivals and, we always get into like to the craft shows because of the fact that we're nail files. That's you know, and then they're like, hey, we're in with the hand painted nail files. Well, let me show you about this. You know, gotcha. So which are amazing, by the way. Spa bars, Google it. Shays Forever Files. Anyhow, yeah, pop Jennifer in the sales truck for me. Anyhow, give me my commission. Anyhow, yeah, so they're different though. And all the festivals, though, they always have like the mascots and everything. So. Like last weekend was like a crawfish walking around. And then there was also a pig too, which I don't quite understand how that coincided with the
crawfish and pig.
There was a big old pig, yeah. Like, his name was like Eddie even too, or something.
Oh, like a legit, like a live pig?
No.
Oh, okay, like a mask.
Around in a pig
oh, okay.
Suit. Yeah. His name was Eddie.
The 2 things is you make sure you better cook it proper.
I don't know, but like for some reason they had a pig walking around too. I don't know how the two exactly coincide together, but there's got to be some like logic to it. But then they had like other mascots from Syracuse walking around too, like the one baseball team, the orange guy, you know, and everything.
Oh, Syracuse, yeah, the orange.
Yeah, they're orange men. There's a shit ton. They love their orange there. Yeah, and then like the Cannabis Fest, like I was saying, they had the bushes. The guys in the bushes walking around. Corn and Potato Fest, they had a guy in a corn suit and a potato suit walking around. You know, yeah, they always had their mascots there, everything. So
now what about your other job, the other thing that you're doing, the parties? The
Pure Romance. Yeah, I'm selling Pure Romance now. I got a Pure Romance party tomorrow. See, I ended up canceling the one on Friday because of the festival.
Oh, okay.
We're just gonna go Facebook Live on that one too. Plus, she was kind of relieved. She definitely was not crying, but yeah, I got another one coming up tomorrow.
But that's
Pure Romances. Yeah, it's lotions, lubes, and sex toys. Absolutely. So I do sex toys parties, and they're awesome. They're a lot of fun. Each one's different, but they're always a good old time and everything. I was telling you before about that one. One of the party games I do is like basically tell everybody like come up with a name. Like you got your regular name, but before it like kind of come up with your dirty name. You know, so like I mean, like, and it can be as raunchy as you want it, like, you know, like jizz on my tits or something, you know, whatever you want it to be, you know. And so there was this one crowd where it was like mostly like about young 20, early 20 to mid 20s, like in definitely social care, like a lot of them definitely kind of fresh out of school and fresh into the field. Still very enthusiastic about what they do and everything. How I remember some of my friends who got into that particular field being when they were younger and everything. And then, and so, yeah, for the most part, it was like early to like mid-20s, younger girls and all that. And then you had like one woman who probably runs the office, the adult of the situation, you know? And that was Donna. And she had to have been like about my mom's age, which I'm 40. My mom's going to be 70 in a couple of months. She probably wouldn't appreciate. You know, so I always have to say Donna was about like my mom's age. So she's the adult of the group. and they ended up talking Donna into coming to one of the parties or whatever. And man, oh man, was she a trooper. She just was such a team player. She came out, we got around to her. She was the last one, too, to have to introduce herself. And she was awesome. She's just like, because I told him, like, try to make it to, like, your own sexual personality, was exactly what I had said. And she bust out with, hi, I'm Special Occasion Donna. So, but it does. It's just so fun, you know? But then there's, like, other things, too, that you got to worry about. Like, it definitely was a little weird having to explain to my friends about why certain things can't go in your ass, and you definitely need to make sure that you have a plug, you know, because they're just not familiar at all. Not saying that I'm very familiar with that either, but I mean, you know, I mean, I kind of thought it was a little bit of like adult sexuality common knowledge that, like, you know, if you don't have a plug, it's gonna get sucked up.
Keep going up there.
But I had to actually explain this to some of my friends.
Not something.
Yeah, you kind of get to know certain things too that you didn't necessarily want to know about your friends in that kind of a field too, or other people. But you know,
someone has all the knowledge. Oh no, I know what this is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny.
Oh, you have to work your way up to this one.
Right? Jesus. But you know what it has done too, though, is like since I started doing the pure romance thing. It's like, you would have thought that I was, like, opening the floodgates to guys to just basically be, like, you know, coming at me with, like, the whole fucking sex offer. You know what I mean? Because, like, I had so many... It was like the fucking floodgates opened. Like, have you ever seen that meme of, like, that girl going down the slide and all the, like, fucking hot dogs right behind her or whatever? That's how I felt, man. It was like everybody was starting to come at me. Like, they thought, like, it was all of a sudden, like, hey, for a good time, call Jen, you know? And it's like, fuck you.
Oh wow! So
like, yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like, I had so many guys contacting me, or just like a couple unsolicited dick pics, like not even bothering to kind of, you know, just kind of like, hey, you know, like if you want to, you know, hang out sometime, like I'm willing. And it's kind of, you know, like no, just okay. One, just because I'm doing this, you know, doesn't mean that it changes anything about me or what with it. And not for nothing, but like, you know, I don't give a shit at this point. It's like, you know, I only invest in, like, the people that invest in me or whatever. So, like, if all you're coming at me with is, like, some kind of bullshit offer like that, I'm not even fucking in it, you know what I mean? I will entertain any real deal offers, but I'm not going to fucking in that. That's just not... I don't know. I hate dating. So that's pretty much why I haven't really been doing it, you know? I mean, I had my heart broken in February, so, you know, and I'm still... I just hate it. I mean, you know, I did go on... I'm moving on, though. I mean, like, I did go on a couple dates. You know, I went on a lunch date even just last week, you know, and he was a nice guy and all that. It's not going to work out, though. You know, I was talking to I was chit-chatting with that one guy I was telling you about, too, who got kind of a little aggressive as far
right
as...
before the episode. You're...
Well, because the whole thing is, like I said, okay, you know what? Like, you know, the festival season just started a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And I was doing last year's festival season without the Disney vacation thing, which is not really taking up too much of my time. It still takes up a little bit of my time. Or the pure raw bit, you know? So my parents help me out with the kids when they can, which is mainly at this point so I can work. And before, I didn't really work a whole lot, so I didn't have to worry about, like, you know, if I wanted to go out with somebody or like that, I could usually work it in and have my parents watch my children, and my children are safe and everything, and mommy can go out and play for a little bit and then come back to real life, and all is good. Now... My parents are watching my kids while I'm working. I'm working a lot of, you know, like weekends or whatever, where I'm gone all weekend. And, you know, so I really need to take advantage of it, you know, for that. Yeah. And so, like, asking for them to watch my kids at this point for me to be able to go and that is not the easiest thing for me to request. And I came to the realization that, you know, with me doing all this at this moment and me being so busy and everything, this isn't really fair for anybody else to have to accept from me. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I'm not going to expect that, and I probably shouldn't be, you know? I jumped back into it because my whole thing was, okay, you know what? I had my heart broken before, now I'm over it and everything, and I took that little bit of time where, you know, I just did me, girl! You know? Like, you know, that kind of typical response that happens after something like that does happen to you. But then, you know, I mean, got back in the saddle and everything because I thought that's exactly what I should do. And then I realized, oh, you know what? It's not really going to be fair to anybody that I do even consider something with anyhow, so I really shouldn't be doing this. But man, oh man, the other guy took it real. I mean, because I read you the responses.
Yeah, the guy
too.
was real like, oh, they, you know, I mean, I don't want to tell what he's saying, but he's basically saying like, I've been real patient with you and stuff.
I started talking to him last Monday. Like, we didn't even make it a full week of conversation and text, and he's all like, I've been patient with you all this time.
Yeah,
all this time.
And that guy looks like he was
6 days.
He was definitely carrying some sort of fucking baggage. Oh, you're just like the other people, or whatever. And it's like, dude, you need to calm the fuck down.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because I do my little conversations here and there on the dating sites, and and when someone with 3 kids and stuff like that, like, they're gonna be busy because when that's like getting the fucking planets into alignment. If you're trying to think when it comes to getting someone, or you could get someone that has 3 kids and totally neglects their fucking kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Is that the kind of person?
Like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and leave them home alone and everything. And
dump them over my friend's house or whatever. So if you want someone that's a halfway responsible adult and and has 3 kids, you kind of have to understand that, dude, you're 4th. Or you're 5th in line.
I got 3 kids, so yeah, exactly. Like, you're 4th on the list as far as me trying to figure that out or whatever. I mean, my whole thing is I always say I'm coordinating 4 schedules because even at 6 years old, Tony's got his own little, he's got his own with school activities and stuff, and then same thing with my daughter and same thing with my son. So I'm collaborating 4 schedules with mine included, and then if you want to even include my parents who help me out because they live down the street, that's 6 schedules right there. Because they got their own life.
You can't just go, oh, mom, dad, here's the kids or whatever. I mean,
no, trust me, they got their own life too with their own friends and their own their own activities and stuff that they do or whatever. So, it's like what I said to him, it takes a village. It takes a village over here. Mm. It's not just me. I can't just pick up and go. And like you said, too, that would be a serious red flag. If I have 3 children that are here 24/7 and then all of a sudden I'm just like, yeah, I can meet you for coffee in an hour. And then the next time you ask me out, I'm like, yeah, I can meet you again in 2 hours. That's a red flag for somebody with 3 kids. Yeah. Because that shows that, like you said, they're not taking care of their kids. Yeah. Somebody else is, or they're just neglecting them completely.
Yeah.
And I'm on top of my shit here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, that particular guy in general is you're getting way impatient for someone that you've known for a week and a half, and it's
he definitely wasn't going to end up working out.
And it's
I don't know. My whole thing at this point is I think that I need to just especially with festival season just starting, I need to get through this festival. Mm-hmm. And just basically, probably get back on that old, powerful bandwagon of just do you, girl. I was doing good. As far as just doing, I've been doing really good just in life in general, man. I haven't drank in a couple months. Mm-hmm. That's pretty awesome. I've had it because of my stomach issues. I've had to change my diet like that. That's a lot to deal with too, man. It's a lot of life changes and everything like that. So, I think that right now, it just doesn't, as much as I would like to have a relationship and everything like that, I don't see how it's going to work out with me kind of doing this whole thing. Because, I got something going every single weekend up until mid-October. So, that right there, I can't do anything with anybody on the weekend. Yeah. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to try and do it on the weeknights. Okay, well, what am I going to do with my kids? And especially summer's coming up, so they're not going to be in school or nothing like that. At least, the way I was doing it before and that's the thing too, and I started to realize that I'm not going to be able to keep doing it like that because I was doing it before with coffee dates or lunch dates that were happening during the week, but I also thought that was kind of sending out the wrong impression too because it kind of sends out that whole little idea, girl, I'm not.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I'm definitely not, so I'm not trying to send that impression, I just hate dating. I do.
Yeah, and I've been, I'm sort of, and then I'm. The funny thing is, I'll try to initiate a conversation with someone on a dating site, and it's what if this turns out to something? Because I don't have a fucking car. I better hope I have some real understanding chick. If I start talking to, because even if let's just say I did start talking to someone right now, and when it comes to the point where she's like, all right, let's hang out. I'm like, oh shit, right. I got the Uber.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what though, you know what? You having no car is better than what you have, because my thoughts on the old car.
Yeah, you do not like my Crown Vic.
Well, because like I said, it sends out a serious red flag to anybody, really, because what he used to have, it doesn't matter, it's dead now. You're not driving around it, but he used to have an old Crown Vic police car that was painted over, so you didn't have the police logo on it or not like that. But if I remember correctly too, you still had the spotlight mirror. You could tell it was a cop car.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Or that it used to be a cop car.
I had the holes in the plastic where the spotlight used to go, but I didn't have the spotlight. But yeah, I guess this the old It was old police cars. I always wanted to have one. I had one. I got it out of my system.
I understand. Like, Scotty wanted, when I was married back in the day, like, you know, Scott used to talk to me about he wanted one so bad. And I was down for it. You know, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. But the only reason why I was okay with it with him, though, too, was because he was going to trick it out and basically, like, build it as being, like, the, you know, based off of his computer service company and... He was going to kind of trick it out to be more ambulance looking than cop looking.
Yeah.
And kind of do that whole, you know, like, I'm the computer doctor. That's always been overplayed at the point. But, you know, he thought he was kind of coming up with a concept back, because we're talking also, you know, late 80s or late 90s when everything was in all that. And, you know, in early 2000s. But, I mean, like, I was down for it then. But that was because of, like, what he wanted to do with it or whatever. But that, driving it around, like, I was just saying, like, if I was a chick who didn't know you, and then you pulled up and then everything, like, to me it would be a red flag, because I'd be like, okay, is this like one of them crazy dudes that's like pulling over people on the expressway that I read about, you know?
Yeah, like,
you know? I mean, like, because you do hear about that kind of shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like somebody who comes pulling up in the white van. Like, that to me is a little, like, unless they got like a good valid, really, they're like, hey, you know, like, I work for so-and-so construction, and
I need this van, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
not,
you know what I mean?
the free candy van.
Yeah, exactly. But if somebody just kind of comes in with the empty ass van and, you know, everything like that, that's a little weird. Like, that, you know, not necessarily weird, but it does still kind of, like, should I be, you know, that little should I be concerned. And that's the whole thing. In dating, you don't want to start tripping that whole thing up, especially in that first meeting of someone. Because, like, you know, people formulate their impression of you kind of within the first 30 seconds to begin with, and then beyond that too. But I mean, like, that first impression really does mean a lot.
Yeah, and it's almost like that. It's the like, you know, the when you watch like the specials, like, you know, she should have seen the red flags.
That's what I'm saying, exactly. Because, like, that to me would have thrown up a red flag. Or I'd be like, hey, is this the crazy dude pulling people over, thinking that they're a cop or whatever like that? You know? I mean, like, I had a buddy when I was a younger, like, you know, late teens, early 20s, or like that. I had a buddy who was a little, like, over, like, he wanted to be a cop, and he kind of did a couple things that went a little Dwight Schrute in a way.
Yeah.
You know, is probably the best way to describe it.
Well, because I've since my, like, I was a correctional officer for, you know, a bunch of years, and
then you tell somebody that too, right there. That I'd be like, oh yeah, right there. Like, done. Yeah, crazy.
For NYPD, they call them buffs, like a person that's way into being a person that's way into being a cop who isn't a cop.
They call them buffs.
Buffs. Yeah. Yeah, like,
and then that's what I would think you would be. Like, there's, especially if you bust out with, I was a correctional officer. Oh, yeah, and he's driving around in a fake police car. Yeah, definitely fucking crazy asshole here, not dating this one. Swipe right. Man, yeah. I did delete my Twitter, though, or not Tinder, though. I got rid of all the dating sites, but I was on Tinder for a little bit. Again, that's how I had met that one dude that started talking and basically appreciate my... I don't know, I guess, like, the whole it's not you, it's me thing has been overplayed and stuff like that. But legitimately, I was explaining, like, it's not you, it's me. Because it really wasn't him, it was me, until the point that he decided to get to be an asshole about the whole thing, me telling him it's not you, it's me.
Yeah. I was saying, that for him to respond like that, is he was obviously carrying...
It's like, now it's you.
Yeah, he had a bunch of baggage. That answer doesn't come out of the conversations
It was me, but now, I'm sorry, it is you. Sorry to say. I don't know.
And then, you know, with the dating, like, that's one thing I've been trying to do. I've been trying to, like, you know, like, I bought my daughter a bike. I promised her I would buy her a bike. And even when I just lost my fucking job, I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy you a bike. And then last weekend we went out riding, and, you know, we walked and like, I live by the Genesee River. What is that? Well, you know, I live.
That's exactly what it is.
And, you know, there's these bike paths by the river, and we went around.
What you'll notice commonly in your area is.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
Oh yeah. No, I was saying, like, I don't know. I said, what's the proper name for it? Yeah, Genesee River. And so we did that, and then, you know, like, growing up when I rode my bike, I used to live by the East River, so the East River had a bunch of bike paths and stuff like that. So it takes me back to my childhood, and then even the other day, like, I don't have a car, but she wants to go to the playground. And I'm like, all right, so we'll go ride our bikes to the playground. So, we went to the one that's closest to us that's in the... I mean, there's playgrounds in the bad area, you know.
Right, but the
nice we went more towards the city where it's, like, you know, the nice area. So we rode our bikes to the like, I'd like to see maybe I get a little exercise, maybe lose a couple weight, a little bit, a couple pounds, here and there, because and I've put on a lot of weight, being in Rochester.
But it doesn't matter anyhow and everything, because like I've had guys, that tell me to I'm overweight or I'm and I'm just like, no, I'm like, honestly, like to me, like I dig a dad, like I actually find that attractive. You gotta kind of just let people decide what they're attracted to. You know what I mean? Because like everybody is not always attracted to just one type. It's not gonna matter if you're carrying weight, whatever like that. Everyone's gonna be attracted to what they're attracted to. So you just gotta kind of let the person decide that they're attracted, and then don't fucking fight it with them. Don't tell them that you. Like that is one thing that I gotta admit that fucking used to piss me off about this one dude that I used to date last year, was that he all the time used to say to me like, I'm fat. And I'd be like, no, it's dad bod and I love it. You know what I mean? And then he'd be like, no, no. Like when I'm telling you like it's dad bod and I love it, fucking take the compliment and shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Sabotaging himself.
Seriously. Because like, what you're doing to me now, you're becoming a whiner and I'm getting turned off.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, so shut the fuck up. If I'm telling you I'm attracted to you, fucking take it, smile, and be good about it. Why fucking argue with me about it? It doesn't make any sense, unless you're trying to feed your own ego, maybe that's what it's got to do with. I don't think this particular man was doing that, but, but, yeah. Well, he turned out to be it. He was a cheat.
So, let me, this one last thing.
Say what you got.
So with the new job, I've noticed this a lot. I mean, I put this in a post. In my new job, there are a lot of Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico.
Oh, in
my new job. It's crazy.
Do you think it's got to do with the hurricane, maybe? Because a lot of people relocated.
Well, no, I don't know what it is. I think it's one of those deals where, like, when one person gets a job at a place, they kind of bring people from their circle with them. Because not only is it Puerto Ricans, it's also a lot of people from Thailand. Okay. And so that's the funny thing is that, like, it's sort of a weird, but it's weird that, like, I'm dealing with these guys and I talk, and Puerto Ricans do speak. I mean, they learn English in school, right. So I mean they speak. They conversationally speak Spanish, but they can't speak English. Right. I mean it's probably not the greatest English, but they speak it enough where it's you could be conversational. So like one of the I've been kind of working with the same kind of group of people. There's no official groups, but they kind of keep everyone kind of together. So they, and the girl, she's been in New York for 4 years. And I'm like, you left the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Even if you left the worst parts of Puerto Rico, to come to fucking Rochester where it's snowing 8 months out of the year.
Some of it's still having a hard time because like they haven't recouped all the way and everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's that also. But I mean, just saying is that like, even if you left the worst parts of Puerto Rico, you're gonna come to Rochester and deal with the fucking snow and shit. Like,
I mean, yeah, but you're talking to someone too who, I mean, like, I love Rochester.
Well, no, it's your home, and
Four Seasons. The thing is like Rochester is like a love it or hate it place. You either love it or you hate it. But I gotta tell you though too, you tend to find a lot of people who have decided to relocate. I mean, like, I don't know, maybe I'm finding it because like I'm at that age where like it kind of just works out that way. But like a lot of people who have relocated, a lot of them do come back. I do see that. I mean, like, especially in my age, too. Like, I've seen a lot of people who moved away right out of high school or whatever like that. Now I'm about to be 40, And I've seen over time a lot of people fucking come back to Rochester, or at least the surrounding area of Rochester, and to this area, or to, like, Western New York. And they eventually end up kind of coming, they end up coming back for whatever reason. Like, my one girl, she left, and I mean, like, this was before I actually knew her, but still. I met her after she came back. She happened to be one of these people that she moved down to Florida, and then I'm pretty sure it was 2 hurricanes that she went through, but it was the Hurricane Charlie was the one that like took all of her shit and everything like that. She was in a FEMA trailer, having to live off it like that, and then she waited until she got the money, and then when she got the money, she used it to relocate, which was totally legit. Yeah. I mean,
Rochester, no snow's gonna break your house.
Yeah, and that was kind of her whole thing. It was like, well, at least I didn't have to deal with this shit out there. So she used her money that she got from all the, everything, losing everything down there, and came back here or whatever, And I know a lot of people who have come back, and then, I mean, there's a few people that I know that have left. There is still a lot of them do. I do see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just just once again, it's sort of like back to the job thing. It's sort of like I think it's just one of those deals where like once people start working at a place, like they start bringing in their cousin or their friend or whatever. So it was real interesting to see and some of these people are like in supervisory positions. I mean, technically the job I'm getting is a supervisory position, which is sort of, makes me a little upset. Like I should be getting paid a little bit more than.
Right.
But, it is kind of interesting to see, like, I feel like, I do feel a little bit like, oh, these are my people. I mean, even though I'm the whitest Puerto Rican on the planet, it's sort of like, once again, it's not a bad job. Who knows how long I'll be there? Like the guy that's training me, who's for the position that I'm going for, because right now I'm doing like the grunt work, but it's sort of like, how could you be a supervisor? It's better that you do the grunt work first, and when you're a supervisor, you know what the grunt work entails.
Well, yeah,
when you're in charge of the grunts,
step in or something like that too. You're supposed to be able to step into whatever job needs to be stepping up.
And he's been there for a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is, he was wearing a shirt from Conserve where I used to work. And I'm like, oh, he's working Conserve. Oh, and he goes, no, my wife does. But it was, so then him and I were talking and I'm sharing my old war stories from there and stuff like that. So, it's not that bad.
That's good.
And once again, I'm really trying to keep a positive attitude. The weather's better. Yeah, I don't have a car, but something will happen. Because originally I was going to buy Austin's old car off of him with my tax return, and unfortunately things didn't work out there. So I took my tax return and I paid off fucking debts that I owed that were affecting my credit. So
right.
I mean, not that it's going to change my credit overnight, but at least it's one less thing I got to worry about. So, it's not like I did piss the money away. I was paying off old debts and,
right.
I'm trying to get my credit up back and running. Yeah, I'm trying to be an adult,
Yes.
And so, I know I sometimes I come off as negative, whatever. I'm really trying to be positive. I'm really trying to maybe, obviously the other old way wasn't working. Let's try something fucking new here.
Hey, positivity works for me, man. You see me, I'm on there too. Always look forward. That's one of my biggest ones too, which is definitely helps me out, I mean, try to keep it positive as possible. Just remember, the energy that you're sending out is kind of like the energy I'm going to get back. Or at least, and it helps me. So if you don't fuck off, you can just mock it all you want. I don't care. It works for me. And so me and my world, I believe you put out positive, you're going to get positive back. So that's what I try to do. And when I find myself thinking negative, I try to put a positive spin on it. All of it seems to work for me. I mean, I tend to be in a happy place, I think it's just kind of like some of it's in your mind. For what you put out into the universe is going to get back.
Yeah, try a different approach.
Yeah, hey, it works. So I don't know.
Is there anything else you want to address before we wrap this sucker up?
Like I said, I figured we're just gonna riff off of it.
Yeah, we're an hour and a half in, so
yeah, we should probably get off.
I should
probably get Teddy back in anyhow.
Yeah. So while you go get him, I'll do the whole outro thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net where you can find all things show related. First and foremost, you can find links to our iTunes page where you can subscribe to us on your iPhone, iPad, or iPod. Who still has an iPad or iPod? I don't know. But if you do, you can subscribe to us there. We are on Android devices on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER. Oh boy, STITCHER. The Stitcher app for Android devices. You can listen offline, listen later, available offline, and download all your episodes. You're in a Wi-Fi spot, like a local library or McDonald's or anything like that, and then listen to them later without killing your battery or your data plan. And of course, like I mentioned before, we are on SoundCloud, and I do make all the episodes available for download. I don't know if I still had an issue with Android devices. I don't know if you could still download them on Android devices, but you should be able to download them to the episodes, or at least definitely off the SoundCloud website. If you want to write the show, you can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. That's all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. I'm just going to check the mail just real quick and see if Oscar has sent the mail at all. He's been beating me up the past couple episodes, but, that's par for the course. Then there
I believe he also sent Paul.
Oh, he did? If he did, I'm not aware of it. But
you should talk to Paul. Look at how that circle comes back around. See? Chat with Paul. I'm pretty sure he did.
And if you want to reach us, if you want to tweet at us, you could tweet us at Stranger Podcast. At Stranger Podcast while I'm doing this, I'm trying to get into my into my Gmail account, which is being a pain in the ass right now. So I'll save that for later. What else? Our Twitter. If you want to follow us, we of course we want your money. We need your money, but if we can't get a dime from you, the least you could do is share and like this episode on Facebook. We're on facebook.com/2strangers1podcast, all spelled out. Once again, let all the people know that you like the show. And once again, just get people interested into it. Let me see what else. I can't think of anything else. Let me see. Nope, no letters from Oscar as I check for my phone. That's about.
I'm sure you'll get one after this episode. You'll be like, why the fuck did you have that bitch?
Why the fuck?
I can't stand her fucking laugh. Her voice is horrible.
You
Your
finally
audio
get
sucks.
It was like you finally get the audio fixed, and then you have her on.
What the fuck, man? That's all right. You know what? The thing is, I got nothing but love for him. So
that's the funny thing is,
well,
like
you're gonna have some. I mean, not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. That's how it is in life and everything. So you just either take it personal, or you're just like, okay, like me or whatever. It's all right. At least he is expressing it. He's listening.
Yeah, I mean,
So I love him for that.
The past couple, the past couple episodes, we've had interactions with Tommy B, with Chris Mounts.
There's been more with Tommy.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta go back and listen. They interact on the Facebook pages and stuff like that, and I always say thank you to the loyal listeners and everything like that.
And once again, even Oscar, I interact with the people that love me, and I interact with people that hate me. So either way,
interact with the people who are interacting.
Exactly.
Period. Thank God for doing it, guys.
Thank you for interacting, and thank you for listening. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Jen.
Don't be a stranger.
Bye.
Peace. We're out. Bye. You should be fapping.
Nice.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an
A. All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea, man.
Is.
Look at her. Fucking, she's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.llc LULU.com.
That's Lulu.com.
I understand that. I just wanted to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, Lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15 is not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.